Okay, so this is day 48 review. Um, Called everywhere I could trying to find a Jeep rental. Turns out they don't open till 9 o'clock. Um, Found a place that would bring the Jeep. Well, she'd come and pick me up, take me back to their place so I could do all the paperwork and then pick up the Jeep. She was like a block away. Yeah, I would have thought she would have told me that when I told her where I was staying, but it didn't matter. She came pick me up, drove me a block away. We got out, did all the paperwork, and got a nice Jeep Rubicon, the cobalt blue, lifted, big fat tires, really nice. And she gave me the rundown on how to operate everything, gave me the list of trails I'm not allowed to go on because I don't want to kill myself or destroy their Jeep. And a nice trail guide that has like, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 different trails. The easier, like rated 1, 2, and 3 out of 5. That just about anybody could do if they have any kind of common sense at all. And we got that picked up 9:30, 9:45. Got it back over here to the hotel. Got everybody loaded up. Went and got lots of water. They gave you a cooler with like 5 bottles of water in the back and ice. We went ahead and took all of our backpacks with us that were full of water. So that was another 9 liters of water. And then we bought a couple liters of water to put in the cooler with the ones that they already gave us. So we had a lot of water and bought snacks and stuff like that because didn't know how long we'd be out. And so headed north out of town on 191 to Highway 279, which is the road that runs along the river and takes you out to Potash. And there's just huge, huge, straight up cliffs on one side of the road. A lot of them have the rock art on there, supposedly prehistoric, whatever, all kinds of stuff. Been there for a long time, actually like etched into the rock. Kind of cool. We didn't realize that until we were driving by them, but it's all over the place. We saw some people taking pictures and stuff. And then we just kept going out that, and you go past Potash Farms, and as soon as you get out past that, that's where they mine salt. They pump water down into a salt formation and then pump the water back out to the surface into these big shallow ponds and let it evaporate, and then they collect all the salt. They're kind of cool looking if you see them from up above because they're like different colors. The water reflects different colors depending on the salt content and stuff. Um, Once you get past that, the road turns to, I'd say dirt, but also a lot of rock. And by that, I mean like the whole surface of the road is a rock. And even when it is dirt, there's big, huge chunks of rock sticking up out of the dirt. So, it's rough. If you're on a dirt bike, you could be moving pretty quick because you got the soft suspension and you're picking one line through the rocks instead of trying to find a line that will accommodate, um, 4 tires, 4 fat tires. So, slow going. I think we were running 15 miles an hour, 10 miles an hour. Had some cool steep climbs and descents, twisting all over the place. Crazy rock formations. It's like you can hardly get anywhere because, like, ooh, picture, 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 picture. And after a while, it's like just pictures and pictures of rocks. But I mean, everywhere you look, it's just amazing scenery and the size of it. Again, it's like so many of the places we've been on this trip. It's like the pictures just, they're more for me to jog my memory than they are to convey to you the size and the scale and the immensity of the landscape and how tiny it makes you feel and how old it feels when you're in it. It's ancient. Um, anyway, that road just went. It becomes Schaefer Basin Road, and you just keep following that, and eventually it'll. Well, there was a vault toilet out there. There's actually quite a few. You start climbing out, and you come to where White Rim Road and Schaefer Basin connect. And if you turn left, you can do the big White Rim loop that goes down and follows the Colorado River to where the Colorado and the Green River meet. Makes like a big V shape. Then you can go up the Green River side and then climb out on Mineral Canyon Road and the switchbacks up there and then come back over to the highway. And it's a 150-mile loop. I ran that years ago with Roger when we were on the small bikes on the KTMs. And we ran it counterclockwise, and it was awesome. Very remote. You need a bike that can go 175 to 200 miles reliably on, one tank of gas, or you need to be carrying gas. Should be carrying food. You need the ability to spend the night if necessary, and a lot of water, as much water as you can carry. Um, I wouldn't say it's a heavily traveled road. There are going to be other people out there, but they do restrict the number of people who can be on the road now. They got this permit system going that is apparently year round. It's not like the stuff that was going on at Yellowstone and Glacier. Um, so we got to that intersection, we turned right and started heading towards Schaefer Trail, which is a series of switchbacks that goes, I don't know how tall it is, 1,500 feet or something. I mean, it's tall. It's kind of intimidating. We got to the bottom, we saw this big overlander camper thing with an old Land Cruiser next to it. Huge truck. You're like, okay, that's cool, it got out here. Well, a few minutes later, when we're way, way up the switchbacks, you're looking down at this tiny little dot, and it's that huge truck. And it's a long way down and a long way away. So we, crept up that, had fun, took a lot of pictures. I don't know if we got any video of that. Eventually you get up to the top and you come out on the highway there, and there's a ranger station there with an exhibit in it and a little store and bathrooms, and all the tourists that don't drive the Basin Trail go to the overlook and can look out at the scenery and see how neat it is. We stopped there for a minute, met this dude from Czechoslovakia who lives in Oregon now. Nebraska? Yeah. So. Dude is tall. He was riding a 1250 GS, the Bumblebee, the black and yellow version. He had two massive tail duffel bags, bigger than ours. I mean, right here, see this duffel bag? That's about 18 inches in diameter and about 3 feet long. Weighs a lot. He had two of those on top of the bike. Biggest tank bag I've seen in a long time. Two huge side bags on each side. I mean, the guy was carrying just an amazing amount. And then he had bags strapped to the engine guards that go down the side of the bike on the front. A lot of luggage. And I'm thinking, man, who was riding this thing? And how in the world do they handle that much weight? So this dude comes walking out of the building as I'm walking up. And he's wearing motorcycle gear. And so I start talking to him. Yeah, he's pushing 7 feet tall. I mean, he's a big, big dude. Pretty muscular, looked like he might be 38, 40. So I started talking to him. He's like, oh yeah, I was in Colorado the other day and I went over Ophir Pass. And I'm like, really? With all that luggage on there? He's like, oh yeah, it's, wasn't too bad. I'm like, well, which direction did you go? Because if you go from Ophir over to US 550, you're going up a long climb at the end of the valley that's really, really rocky. I mean, big chunks of rock, because the road basically is cut into a rock slide that's the whole side of the mountain. If you're coming down, it's not as bad because gravity's helping you, I guess. It's still pretty rough, but he did it that direction. He came from 550 over to Ophir. He said he would not have wanted to be going the other direction, and I'm just like, I wouldn't want to be going either direction on that bike. I don't know that I would do it on my 1200 even unloaded, but he was getting ready to go on the White Rim Trail, and I was like, well, you might want to do it counterclockwise. Because if you start in the northwest corner and you go down the switchbacks on Mineral Canyon, there's a lot of silt, and there's some areas where that silt gets really, really deep. And it can be a handful on a big bike. A big bike loaded like his could be a nightmare, especially if he's falling down and having to keep picking it up, because he's going to have to unload that bike before he can pick it up. He didn't seem concerned. He's like, well, I got to go this way. My campsite's here, blah, blah, blah. It'll be fine. I was like, good luck. So I'm guessing he's still out there, Anyway, we went ahead and drove all the way down to the end of the road, south end of the road there, the paved highway, to the Grand View Point, which is like the southernmost tip. And you can look out where the Green River and the Colorado River come together, and you can see the White Rim River road running down below and everything. And it's really cool views. Took lots of pictures. You can see Needles Park 12 miles in the distance. You can see the LaSalle Mountains. Even though it was kind of hazy, you could see some of the stuff on the board was 40 miles away, 50 miles away that you could see. And you could see things past that weren't marked on the board that showed distances that were even further away, other mountains and stuff. It's pretty amazing. Um, it's getting late in the day, so we decided I wanted to take the kids and show them the switchbacks over at Mineral Canyon, which is the other entrance to the White Rim Road on the northwest side. So we headed back out of the park, and we're going north on the highway, turned left on the Mineral Canyon Road, and made the 20 some odd mile haul out to these switchbacks. And it was fun. I mean, it's a pretty good road. Had a few spots where if you weren't paying attention, you had some pretty good V outs. If you came over a quick rise and you were running 45, 50 miles an hour, you weren't going to have time to get on the brakes and keep from just nose diving in. So, I have a habit of when I come over a rise, I just always kind of go neutral so that if there's a surprise on the other side, I have time to scrub speed and react and all that. And that helped a lot. And then as you get closer to the switchbacks, you can start seeing the canyons, and you finally come around a couple sharp corners that are like 20-mile-an-hour corners, and there's a little parking lot area, the vault toilet, and you're at the top of the switchbacks. And we stopped and got out there and took some pictures and walked around, and then we started down the switchbacks, and they're steep, and there's one corner you come around where there's like the remains of like 4 cars kind of wadded up, smashed off the side, mangled in the rocks. Looked like older cars, maybe something from the 70s, had been there a long time. So that kind of got Sarah's attention, because she's sitting on the outside and she doesn't like the heights. And it's a very narrow road, no room for another Jeep to pass. And fortunately, we didn't run into anybody else. We just went all the way down, took our time taking pictures, got to the bottom, turned and started heading towards the White Rim Road. And you can ride, I think, 4 or 5 miles on the road before you get to the edge of the park where you're technically supposed to have a permit. So we rode down almost to that area. Pretty cool because you're running along the river edge. A lot of silt, and the Jeep kind of slides around in the silt and stuff. And then we found a spot to turn around. So we turn around, we're heading back, cruising along, kicking up dust like crazy. And I look in the mirror, and here comes a GS. And it's not the big, huge dude, it's some other guy. So I immediately pull over, because I don't know how long he's been back there, and I didn't notice him, but I just pull over and let him go smoking by. And he's heading for the switchbacks to get back up out of the canyon. So I haul up there because I want to talk to him. He stops and waits at the bottom of these switchbacks. So I pull up next to him. I'm like, hey, are you by yourself? And he's like, oh, no, my wife's with me. And here comes right behind us on a little Honda CRF 300 Rally is his wife, and she rolls up, and we start talking. And I asked him, I was like, well, y'all want to go on ahead of us? Because, you don't want to be riding in our dust, and we're going to be going slow, crawling back up this mountain. And, his wife's like, oh, no, I'm really slow, and I'm like, no, it's cool. We're going to be going 10, 50 miles an hour at best. You don't want to be sucking our dust as you're going up this hill. So they take off. Now, they're not carrying tons of luggage. He's got a tail bag, and I don't think she has anything. And they take off. I mean, he's booking up this hill. It's pretty rough. I mean, there's some big rocks, sticking out of the road. There's some, not too many ruts. It's just bumpy, big rocks you got to get over. There's some stuff where they've repaired the road with concrete because it was so bad. And some of those you come over and drop right back down real harsh. They're gone. I take off after them, running a little bit quicker than I would normally be running maybe, and we're trying to video them and keep them in sight, and then in no time at all, we just see them going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You see their little heads going up the hill. And at one point, there's the last couple switchbacks, there's a lot of red silt in the corners, and we see her stop, and we're kind of across the valley from her, looking across at her, and she kind of almost makes the switchback stop, sits there for a minute like she's considering what she's going to do, and then she takes off. They get to the top. I was hoping they'd stop in the parking lot at the top and we could talk to them, but we got up there and they were gone. So we get back on the main road and I take off, and it's relatively smooth. So I'm running 45, 50, on the straights, slowing down for the hills and the curves. And we eventually see them again, and they're kicking up some pretty good dust. So we get behind them, maybe a quarter mile behind them, and just watch them riding. And it was really cool to watch. And at one point we get out of all the little twisties to where the road just gets real straight for a long time. They crest a hill in front of us, and they're backlit by the sky, and he stops, she pulls up on one side of him, you see them high five each other. It's really cool. And then they take off again. So we've got in behind them and followed them. And when you get back to where Mineral Canyon Road meets the main road in the park, there's a big parking area, and they pull over there. So we pulled over and talked to him, and his name was Jerome. What was her name? Jess. And he's from France and she's from Australia, and they're married and they live in Los Angeles right now. And they're a real cool couple. I mean, we had a nice visit with them. He's all stoked about the new 1300 GS that BMW just announced the official release of a couple days ago. And so we talked bikes and stuff and talked about trips and exchanged information. And then they hopped back on the highway, and as he said, it was beer o'clock time, so they just wanted to get back to Moab and chill for the evening and have a cold drink. And I think they were going to be camping tonight, so we hopped on the highway and just cruised back to come out on 191 north of town, and then turned south and just hauled back to town. Got here and had a really good dinner. I don't remember the name of the place, like the Spoke or something, or the Spoke Wheel or whatever, but they had really good ice cream. Had a great big chef salad that was really good, and the kids had fish strips that they said were pretty good. And then we came back to the hotel and we're hanging out, and so it's time to do laundry, mundane, boring stuff. So we dump it all in the wash, and then I wanted to see what the hot tub pool area is like. So I walk out there, and there was a lady sitting in the pool and her husband there, and we get to yakking, and then Sarah and Daniel come out, and geez, I don't know what time that was. Maybe, yeah, it wasn't that late yet. Maybe 9 o'clock, because we got back from dinner 8:30. Well, we got back to the room at 11:30. They were originally from New York. I mean, I recognize their accents immediately because I used to live in Staten Island when I was a kid on an army base called Fort Wadsworth, which is on one end of the Verrazano's Bridge, which is the bridge over the harbor that all the ships come under when they get to see the Statue of Liberty and all that. Well, there's another little base on the other side of the bridge called Fort Hamilton. Now they're national parks. Originally, they were like gun emplacements to protect the harbor. Huge disappearing artillery cannons that would fire and recoil back down behind a hill and then pop back up. And he grew up Fort Hamilton on the other side. And, so I started telling him about it. And when we were there, he was like, "Oh, yeah, I remember that. That was the blizzard blackout year and all that." I was like, "Yeah, I was there, So it was kind of cool. We just had a really good visit. And Sarah and Daniel were in the hot tub visiting with his wife and another guy that showed up, Kirk, from Colorado Springs, I think it was. And yeah, we were out there till 11:30. They were really fun people. It was Janet and Eddie Jensen, and just really fun people to talk to. They live in Florida now, where it's hot and warm instead of cold and snowy and nasty and everything else. I think they live on the east coast of Florida, not too far from Disneyland, an hour and a half from Disneyland, I think she said. So yeah, finally got all the laundry done, got back to our room, and had a really good time with the Jeep. I haven't driven a Jeep since 2015 or 16, when I brought the family up to Lake City and we rented a Jeep and went over Engineering, Cinnamon, and California Gulch, or whatever it's called, California Pass. We did all that back then, and it was an okay Jeep. But this was a nice big jacked up Rubicon, and quite nice satellite radio. Quite comfortable, nice seats and everything. Reasonably priced. I mean, it was 2 days was like $670, something like that. Yeah, so we still have it for tomorrow. We decided to go ahead and book an extra day here so that we could pick the Jeep up in the morning, not have to get it back by 5:30 in the evening, so we could keep it overnight, so we didn't have to worry about rushing back in the evening if we were still out riding. And then tomorrow we'll do, I think we're going to go out to Hurrah Pass and Chicken Corners, which is out by Lockhart Basin. And it's out where they filmed the famous Thelma and Louise scene where they drive off the cliff at the end of the movie. Directly south of Dead Horse Point, which is another cool place to go see if you get out here. So we're going to run out there. It's an out and back trip. It's pretty cool. I rode that years ago with Roger and Steve Tanner, and can't remember Joe's last name. It was another Joe, not Joe Fink. We came up Lockhart Basin from the south end and ran it towards the Moab. It's an awesome ride. And when you finish Lockhart Basin, you got to run Chicken Corners and Hurrah Pass to get into Moab. It's just really cool. So we're gonna do that tomorrow. If we have time when we get done, we might run up to Arches National Park and try to see what we can of that. But we got to have the Jeep back here in town by 4:30, 4:45, so I got time to gas it up and clean it. I don't have to wash it necessarily, but if it's dirty, they want you to hit it with a car wash. It doesn't have to be spotless. They just don't want it to look like crap, and you just give it back and then drop it off at 5:30. And then I think Tuesday, from Moab to Farmington is 4 hours if we just go straight down 191 through Blanding. I don't know if I want to go that route. I may take a slightly different route that has a little bit more scenery that might take 5 hours. But basically get into Farmington, pick up the truck. Hopefully it starts. Get the bikes loaded up. Depending on what time we get there, we might even leave Farmington sometime that evening and drive as far as you can and get a hotel, or just get up and leave Wednesday morning and then finish driving Thursday and be home sometime Thursday afternoon, hopefully. So probably by the time we get home, this was day 48, so we're looking like 49, 50, 51, 52 days that we've been gone. So that's a pretty long trip, and we're all kind of getting anxious to get home. We miss everybody, and
I miss my cat.
Daniel misses his cat. Sarah misses her bed. I miss my bed. She misses her gym. That's good. They miss Chick-fil-A a lot because they're Chick-fil-A freaks. Shake every day. Yeah, just can't get enough Chick-fil-A. And there's not a lot of Chick-fil-A's around here. We had Chick-fil-A in Grand Junction yesterday, the day before, and they were like, ooh, and it's just like, yeah, Chick-fil-A, whatever, They were quite excited about that. So yeah, they'll be happy to get back to their 5 nights a week at Chick-fil-A or whatever ridiculous amount it is. And then hopefully I'll start getting some more videos and pictures uploaded, because the internet still stinks. I've been trying to upload one review video since 8 o'clock this morning. It's not even halfway done. It's just ridiculous. So yeah, anyway, great day. Hopefully tomorrow will be a good day. We'll let you know how it goes. We'll take way too many pictures and then hop on the bikes and start wrapping it up. So talk to you then. Bye.